Hey everybody, I'm hopping on today as 2018 winds down to encourage everybody to choose a word for yourself for the new year and choose a word that really challenges you. Not a word that's easy for you, like I'm going to be nicer. It's like that could be challenging. It could be a challenging word, but make sure that it is. I had a session this week with my counselor, Beth Green, and if you think therapists and counselors don't have a counselor, you're dead wrong. At least I hope so, because how could I possibly teach and support people if I'm not involved in that same process of challenging myself? So I'm Helen Hillix. I'm an intuitive counselor and spiritual coach. And I'm here today to talk about choosing a powerful word that is a powerful challenge for you for 2019. I'll talk a little bit about the story of how I came up with my word for the year is bold. And it came out of this session, and it was, how am I being in the world, and why am I not showing my boldness as much as I'm showing my love and support and insight and wisdom and that side? Well, in my childhood, being bold was not supported. It was dictated that we should be nice, we should be obedient, we should be smart, we should work hard. That was very much imbued in our principles. But being bold and being just out there in the world, that was not supported. And the person who did it the most, my mother, was criticized and condemned for being kind of weird. So I did not want to show my boldness. So that's a great word for me for 2019. And I am a bold person. I'm bold in my work. I'm bold in my daily life. But I hadn't been bold as much as I want to be bold. So I'm showing it. I was bold this morning by saying, I don't care if I feel like doing a live video or not, I'm going to hop on and do one. I think I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Helen Hillix, intuitive counselor and spiritual coach. And I'm here today to talk about choosing a magical, powerful, challenging word for yourself for 2019. And what do I mean by that? Well, in order for me to be bold, it's one thing for me to just choose the word bold, but what does it take from me? What do I have to do? Well, I have to challenge my people pleaser side. I have to challenge my insecurities about how I'm going to show up in the world. I have to nurture myself and get lots of support and feel a lot of self-love. So it's taking an inner revolution for me, from me, and for me in order to be that new word, bold. Let's take a look at some other examples. I have clients, I've had many clients in this particular dynamic because it's very socially normal, where the man expresses himself in anger and the woman expresses her anger in withdrawal. And what a common thing that is. Hey, Lynn, I'm talking about choosing a powerful word for yourself, a word that challenges you for 2019, and how I got in a session that my word is bold and that I tend to accentuate other aspects of my personality other than bold because it wasn't supported in our family to be bold. Our mom, who was the boldest, was kind of looked at as a little bit weird. So I was talking about the stereotypic, really, dynamic between men and women, where the man is angry. That's how he expresses his insecurities and all of his pain, and the woman withdraws. And if that man were to choose the word loving for his word this year, it would challenge him to take a real look at himself and do some hard work on himself in order to be that more vulnerable, loving person. And that would be an awesome word for him to choose. And for the woman who tends to withdraw when she feels hurt or angry or insecure or whatever, for her to choose the word connected or bold would be a good word for her too, or brave, courageous, honest. I mean, there are so many words that would challenge that tendency to withdraw and hide. So if any of the people watching have a word that comes to your mind, shoot it to me in your comments so we can talk about it and what it would take from you to become that. If you are a person, who tends to people please and you say to everybody what everybody wants to hear, it's like, okay, what would be a good challenge for that person? Well, to be more honest would be, to be more self-expressed would be a really great thing for them. Because people pleasing, I mean, what is that? Motorcycle is your word for the year, Mark? Well, that's not, unless motorcycle represents freedom and self-care is Lynn says self-care. Let's talk about the motorcycle first. I love it, really. I mean, it seems like a frivolous kind of silly thing on the surface, but maybe Mark needs to become a completely healthy person in order to ride a motorcycle, and that motorcycle represents him becoming a healthy person. Maybe it represents the fact that he has a very hard time. Mark says it does. That's so cool. Maybe he has a hard time motivating himself to work hard enough to afford a motorcycle. And the idea of having a motorcycle and the freedom of it, maybe it represents freedom. The freedom to go out there and be in nature and feel the wind. That gives me goosebumps, the wind blowing in his face, and the idea that he can get out into the world in a new way and not isolate. So, this is such a great thing, because of course my immediate reaction was motorcycle, that what does that mean? But it can mean very, very deep, important things and very deep, important challenges. So don't judge it if you have a word that comes up as your word for the new year. Ask yourself, what does that mean? What does that word challenge in me? What would it require from me to live into that word? So I think it's so important. And, exactly, Mark says, it's true. And Lynn says you're intuitive. You can see through Facebook. Well, that's true. I mean, that's what intuition is. That was the first thing that came to my mind, was maybe a motorcycle. That motorcycles take a lot of strength to manipulate a motorcycle and to manage it in a safe way. And then the other aspect of the freedom and the motivation to get out there in the world. Thank you. I love the love, Mark. So Lynn's word was self-care, and it's like, that's a pretty deep word from my perspective. And I've got to say that a lot of the ways that self-care is used in our society kind of gags me. Go get a pedicure. Well, actually getting a pedicure can be very healthy, and some people really need that to maintain their physical health. If that's your motivation, awesome. But there are a lot of things that people consider self-care that really are just superficial, and they're not caring for you. They're only caring for what your appearance is out in the world. Even getting fit, sometimes people think of that as self-care, but when they're really only doing it so that they can make money, or so that they can attract the guy that they want to attract or the woman they want to attract. So that's not really self-care either. Getting fit in order to love yourself, in order to give yourself an opportunity to have a healthy life where you can give your gifts to other people. That makes me want to cry. That's self-care. That's the motivation for getting fit, that is for the highest good of all, including you. Thank you, Mark. I just love all the reactions. Just feed me, And of course, isn't this such an example, such a manifestation of life? That when we feel connected to people, and when people are connected to you and giving you feedback about what you're doing and what you're saying, that it matters to them. It's like, that does make me cry. That's what we live for. And that's what I want for you guys for 2019, is I want you to choose a word that challenges you at the core of your being, that requires you to get support that requires you to reach out. Hey, Ryan, welcome. We're talking about choosing a word for 2019 that challenges your soul. And Lynn chose self-care, and Mark chose motorcycle. And we were talking about how motorcycle can appear to be a materialistic kind of superficial goal, but I was intuiting that maybe it means that Mark needs to get healthy enough and strong enough to manage a motorcycle. And he said yes. And also the freedom, the aspect that a motorcycle can represent freedom and getting out there in the world in a new way. So it's like, we need to choose a word, and don't let anybody tell you that your word is superficial if it has deep meaning to you. But it has to challenge you in a way, because the meaning of our lives is growing and changing and giving our gifts to the world. And if you choose a word that, thanks for the love, thank you so much. If we choose a word that doesn't challenge us, then we're not going to get the richness of 2019 that we can get. So take it on, choose a word. And Rebecca and Ryan, if a word comes to you just intuitively right now, please put it in the comments so I can support you with it. Because I would love to. That's the fun of it, is getting that feedback and that interaction. And so if something comes to you, great. If it doesn't, maybe you can DM me or message me, whatever you call it, on Facebook. But I'd love to support you with getting your word for the new year, because it takes, if it's a powerful word, then it's going to take an inner revolution for you to manifest that word. If your word is self-confidence, then it's going to take an inner revolution for someone who has typically not been loving of themselves, has not believed in themselves. They're going to have to get support. They're going to get support so that they can have that inner revolution, so they can manifest that word. The word coming to me was unstoppable. Love that, Ryan. I'm feeling like that might be mine. It might be ego-based, but I don't think so. Again, it's like the motorcycle. I don't think unstoppable is ego-based for you at all, Ryan. I think that you have tended to stop yourself over and over and over again. And to be unstoppable would require an inner revolution from you of saying that I'm going to get, and I deserve, all the support that it will take for me to be unstoppable. I love that word. That does not sound ego-based whatsoever. And this is another thing I love. I am so glad you said that it might be ego-based. I love that, because so often we stop ourselves from something because it sounds like ego. Like being bold. It's like, people could say, wow, she's so full of fucking ego. It's like unbelievable. How can she say she's going to be bold? But it's not ego. It's what I need to do. It's definitely what I need to do. And motorcycle, you could think of that as ego, but that is what for Mark was not ego at all. So don't worry about how it looks to anybody else. It's how it lands in your own heart and soul. And get support from other people too. And, people that are really close to you. Ryan says, you hit on something. I don't ever want to ask for help. And that's the ego. So right on, Ryan. That's the ego. And your ego, this is so tricky. Your ego wanted to tell you that, I just got blocked. The ego wanted to tell you that being unstoppable was ego, because being unstoppable requires you to get support, and the ego is not having it. So that is so awesome. That is just so perfect, is that the ego wants to tell you that your word is not the right word, because you'd have to challenge the ego to be that word. So right on, Ryan. That is so amazing. And Rebecca says courageous. If you feel you have not been courageous, that's a fabulous word. That's a fabulous word. Or if you feel like you have been courageous in some ways and not others, that's also a fabulous word. Because that's the thing. Even like bold, it's like I am bold. Most people would say that, and yet there have been aspects where I wasn't as bold. Rebecca also said being present. Those are both great words. I mean, I can't pick that for you. I see you as courageous and present. But I can also see how in both cases being present and being courageous would challenge you to be more of those things and perhaps put them, out in front. I know confidence has been an issue for many, many people. The word confidence comes to my mind. So self-care, another great word. That was Lynn's word, Rebecca. Lynn's word was self-care. And absolutely, I love that word. I mean, I think everybody could have that word for their word for 2019, because most of us have not taken good care of ourselves. Our teeth, our bodies, our eyes, our souls, our what we eat. Those are the kinds of self-care things that I'm thinking of when you say self-care, is getting the support we need to be able to treat ourselves in a very loving way, not just getting the self-care of manicures. We talked about this earlier. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that it needs to be a really deep kind of self-care that treats you as a person who is incredibly precious, and that your health matters, because if you don't take care of you, it's just like the damn airplane thing. If you put on your own oxygen mask, you have to put it on first before you help anybody else. If you are a person who wants to help others, and I know everyone on this live today is that kind of person that wants to help others, self-care is really, really important. It's really the core of everything. I can't be bold if I don't take care of myself. Mark can't have his motorcycle if he doesn't take care of himself. Lynn can't help people. Rebecca can't help people. Ryan can't be unstoppable if he doesn't take care of himself. So self-care is an amazingly universal one. And you can't be present and you can't be courageous if you don't take care of yourselves. And we don't take care of ourselves. And that's kind of the core of this talk today, is that whatever your word is, go deep and look at what kind of an inner revolution is going to be required in order to manifest and support that word for the year. And pick a word that challenges you in that way, that makes you change the way you look at yourself and the way you look at the world, that make it a real revolution for yourself and not just a superficial New Year's resolution. And Lynn's saying she loves this. It's enriching to hear other people's words, and it is. I mean, that's one of the most fun things about such an experience as this live, is we get to hear what everybody else is getting, and then because we are one, you guys. We are one, essentially. I could have every word, even motorcycle. I can totally relate to motorcycle. I loved motorcycles when I was young, and I'm not sure how I feel about it getting on one, but the idea of a motorcycle, I love it. The freedom, the power that comes from it, it's so much fun. Ryan agrees. So I don't care what the word is. I don't care what word other people come up with. If you're encouraging, and take this out, spread this video, share it with other people, and talk to other people about the idea. Talk to them about what they want their word to be. And all of you guys are insightful, intuitive people. Talk to them and help them get their word, especially all of the people closest to you, because then you can support them. You can, say, what's your word? If you see them veering off the course, what's your word for the year? So that's the challenge, is to choose something that requires us to have an inner revolution. Do this again New Year's Day. I want more. I was thinking about that. I was thinking that this is just kind of a precursor, and that I will do more New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. Probably New Year's Day would be a good time. So yes, and I will let all of you know when I'm going to go on. Hey Dana, so nice of you to join. We're talking about choosing a word for 2019 and make it a deep word. And I want to hear, I know you can come up with something pretty instantly. I want to hear what your word is. We've had self-care, being present, being courageous. My word is being bold. Motorcycle was another one that was a real challenge, and not to be judged, because it requires health and enough resources to get one, and it fuels that freedom of getting out there in the world. So go inside for a second, Dana, and even though we're at the end of the thing, even though we're at the end of the talk, I want to hear what you get as just an intuitive hit right now is your word for 2019. And thank you, Lynn, for saying your energy is so powerful with an audience. I love having an audience listening with me. It's so, the energy just magnified. We are one, and when I am just one little one here manufacturing all the energy, it's a lot harder than when people come on and support me and give me their feedback and their input. It makes it so much more dynamic. So Dana, I'm waiting for you to give me a word here. Otherwise, maybe you'll direct message me or whatever later, but I'd love to share what your word is. And thank you, Orion, for saying agreed. I'd love to share with the audience, because what our audience has found so far is that everybody's word fed everybody else. Stillness. Dana's word is stillness. Oh my God, I love that. And this is what instantly pops into my mind, is that the inner revolution that is required for stillness, and this is so me too, Dana. The inner revolution that is required for stillness is shutting the goddamn mind off and just connecting to the spiritual realm. And that inner voice, I took a workshop, a leadership program recently. I think these are the things that something like 90% of the communication that we have in a day is with ourselves, and 70% of that is negative. And whether I got the numbers right or not, it's astounding. It's astounding how we have this negative self-talk and anxiety and criticism going on in our heads all the time. And so stillness, I love that word. And it's something I'm practicing every day in meditation now. It only took me 69 years to figure that out. I mean, go figure. It's unbelievable. I'm such a stubborn asshole. But I'm so excited that I have discovered meditation. And I'm sure you've already discovered meditation, Dana, probably decades ago. But that just comes to my mind about the practice of stillness that comes in meditation. And everyone here I know that's watching, and everyone that watches on the replay, can relate to every single word that has come up, including stillness. And what a gift stillness is, to be able to listen to the universe, and to be able to be guided by the universe, to be able to feel that we belong in the universe, to remind us that we are precious little chunks of the universe, every single one of us. Every single one of us has a destiny that we can feel, and in the listening to the universe, we can feel the preciousness that we are, connected to the magic and the mystery. And Dana's, I want to be more still listener. Lynn says she's a stubborn asshole too, and that meditation is great self-care. It's so true. I am on a bandwagon about it, because I can palpably feel the difference in the day. If I forget to meditate, it's only happened once, but I was so aware of the way I felt different that day, because I did not take that time to be still and to connect. And don't worry about it if your mind is going while you're meditating. Mind is too. I'm counting my breaths, 1, 8,000 thoughts. 2, 3,000 thoughts. Hey, Pauline, we're talking about choosing a word for the new year. And I feel like I could stay on here for an hour, letting more and more people come on and give their word for the new year. But if something comes to you intuitively, Pauline, shoot me a comment, and we'll see if other people too can relate to yours. Everyone has related to everyone else's so far. Of motorcycle was the first one, and at first I thought motorcycle, but it was really a deep new word because it requires health and physical strength, and that's a challenge for this person, and it gets them out into the world and more feeling the experience of freedom. So don't judge it if a word like that comes to your mind, but self-care, being bold is my word, courageous, being present, stillness. We've had some fantastic words. And, if something comes to you, Pauline, shoot it in the comment and we'll talk about it briefly. If not, that's fine too. But just go back and watch this video, because there's a lot of stuff in the video. And it's challenging us all to go deep and to choose a word that really requires an inner revolution, not something that's easy for us, something that really challenges us. If we tend to withdraw, then we need to choose a word that challenges that, staying connected. If we're anxious, we need to choose a word, inner peace. And what would that take from you? What would that take from you if you need inner peace, an inner revolution and tons of support? So anyway, watch the video all over. Please share it out to other people, because I know that they can benefit from this exercise, and also help other people, just one-to-one. Help people come up with their word and how it's fitting for them and what they need in order to manifest that reality in 2019. So again, I'm Helen Hillix, intuitive counselor and spiritual coach. From my heart to yours, I have lots of love and wisdom to offer you, and no bullshit. That's the bold addition to it. So a great word party. That's a really great idea. Have a party around helping each other get their words and come up with everything that it's going to take for them to manifest that. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I promise. I'm done. I'm over. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me and making this the most fun live video I've ever done. So I hope you'll come back often and support me and support everybody else that's listening or that's going to watch it on the replay. So have a wonderful day, and I'm going to come back on the new year and talk about this some more. Love you. Bye.